So welcome to another episode of Paul's Asian Adventure. In this episode, I wanted to talk about why you should move to the Philippines. I know I've been a bit negative on my last few videos about certain things here, but reality is any country that you move to is going to have positives and negatives. Now, some of these positives, some of these negatives, for certain people will outweigh the positives. So I wanted to get into that, so let's get into it.
Into it.
And remember, it's Paul's Asian Adventure, Pa, but not Grandpa. So, some of the positives of coming to the Philippines, or why you should move to the Philippines, the number one, let's just be honest. The number one reason why men retire to the Philippines is women. That's 99.99 something percent of men that come here. That's just the truth of it. People will try to say, oh, blah, 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 blah. We all know it's BS. So with that, I'm not going to really cover the women aspect because that's been covered endlessly on my videos and other people's videos. So but I will just say something simple about that real quick is when you come here, the best advice is go slow. Don't make any commitments the first year. That's all I want to say about that. And then we'll go into other aspects of the Philippines that are actually very good. The first aspect, I think here, which is really good, and I love this about the Philippines, is that there's such a good social environment. For example, let's say Dumaguete. I know I've been a bit negative on this place, but one of the aspects here that's really wonderful is that there is a lot of retirees and of all kinds. You have the people who like to drink, you like the people who like to hike, like myself and Mia, and there's lots of great nature as you can see here. So guys, it takes a lot to make these videos, and I would really appreciate it if you would share these videos, and if you haven't subbed, please sub. Sharing really helps on the YouTube algorithm, and I put a lot of effort in these videos, like I said, so I hope you share, like, and subscribe. Now on to the video. You have the people who like to do sports, go to the gym. You have people who want to vlog. You have all kinds of groups here that you, as a retiree, can fit nicely into. And the truth is, when you are retired, one of the most important aspects to being healthy, and this is shown in many research papers, but living a long life that gives you meaning is having a social environment where you thrive. You can live in the most wonderful city, in the most wonderful nature. If you don't have friends, if you don't have a social environment where you thrive, where you can just call somebody and go have a cup of coffee and talk it out about something, or go on a motorbike and travel to the beach, or do something that is to your liking, go down to the bar and have a few drinks, as an example. If you don't have that social environment, your life is kind of miserable as a retiree, and unless you're an absolute loner. So this is one of the best aspects, I would say, of being in the Philippines. And of course, in context with that aspect is all the places you can live here. For example, we live in Duma, close to Valencia. We just go up here, it's 10-15 minutes with a motorbike. We're in this wonderful nature. We drive 25 minutes, we're in Darwin, we can be free diving on corals. We could take the boat out to Apo Island and dive with the turtles. There's so much beautiful nature. You even have the hot water springs here. Those are very nice, but it gets really hot here, so you don't want to really be in hot water. But anyway, you have that option. You have wonderful waterfalls you can go to. There are so many beautiful places here in Duma, Valencia area, but there are other places, like for example, Bacolod has many more restaurants and much more malls. Same with Iloilo, less traffic in Ilo. So you have the options. You can go to Davao as an example, where there's hardly any foreigners, if that's your thing, where it's more strict and people, the laws are enforced, and it's just a better organized city. So you have those options. And there are a lot more cities and villages, and you can go to Tagaytay, you can go to Baguio where it's cold. There are so many options here. Each place, of course, like each country, has positives and negatives. And I've talked about the negatives in Dumaguete, one of the reasons we're leaving and all that. But there are so many positives here. So sometimes people come for a year or two, and then after a year or two, they decide to go somewhere else. So that's the social aspect of the Philippines, which in my mind is a very, very important aspect, and things that people oversee. And what would you say about that, darling? I've been talking for a while now, so give me some. What? Of course, you aren't retired, so. But what? You're still too young to retire. But what? Do you have anything to say? You don't have any experience in that, so maybe you have nothing to say about it. What do you have to say?
I don't have anything to
You
say.
don't have anything to say, okay?
Because you've mentioned it all.
I've mentioned it all, and you're not retired, so you don't have that experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to cover about the Philippines, I kind of got into it in the social aspect, but is the nature. Okay. If you're a nature-loving person here, there's so much beautiful nature, and both myself and Mia, we love being in nature. We love doing hikes. And there are many trails in the Philippines, some marked, some unmarked. Some you can actually see a trail there, and some is just pure jungle. But besides the land nature, there is also beautiful ocean or sea nature, like corals. For example, from here, it's only maybe 20, 25 minutes, and there's some beautiful corals in Darwin that you can free dive on. As I mentioned earlier, you have Apple Island. And then you have islands like Palawan and El Nido. El Nido has supposedly, now I haven't been there myself, but from what I read and watch on videos, supposedly some of the best corals in the world. So you have that as well. You have Coron, which has some beautiful water. And I'm going to put some video in the background while we talk, so you can see some of these places. So nature is absolutely wonderful here, and really makes the stay here, for me personally, like much more giving. I like the city, and that's another thing. Sometimes we travel to cities and we stay there for a few days, a week or two, enjoy that life, and then come back to the nature. So there are so many options, and it's a wonderful place for nature. I don't think anybody would say anything against that, right?
You forgot to mention the cost of living.
Oh, I'm getting into that, darling.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, we're not done with the nature.
Oh, boy.
So, okay, so then of course, another thing I just want to mention real quick about nature and the Philippines, some of the most fertile soil in the world must be here. So if you're into gardening or anything like that, you hear the nature right there. If you're into gardening or anything like that, this is a great place to grow vegetables, fruits, and so on.
Please slow down.
Cost of living. The cost of living here, as I've mentioned in other videos, has gone up considerably. And I would say it's no longer the cheapest place in Southeast Asia. I would say Thailand is cheaper, Malaysia is cheaper, and Cambodia I know is cheaper, Vietnam I know is cheaper. So it's no longer the cheapest place in Southeast Asia the way it used to be. However, having said that, it is still relatively inexpensive. I mean, the house we're living in rents out for $450 a month. It's a nice 2-bedroom. It's got solar panels and all that, which is pretty unusual here in the Philippines, but you can find stuff like that. And Dumaguete is considered a kind of an expensive place compared to other places in the Philippines, such as Davao or Iloilo and so on. So you'll find good rentals here for considerably cheaper than your home country, obviously, if you're coming from the West. Now, so the cost of living is much cheaper than living in the US, I would say by at least half. So that's also something to consider, that your money in the Philippines will go much longer. If you like drinking a beer, I think here is like $1, $1.50 or something at the bar. so it's cheap. Now there are things that are a bit more expensive here, but in general, when you take everything under one, it's at least 1/3 to half of what it costs to live in the West. Now, of course, cost of living, like I mentioned, has gone up slightly or considerably, but that it has done that all over the world, like somebody mentioned in one of the comments. So cost of living here is relative to other countries is cheap, maybe not relative to Thailand or Malaysia and Cambodia and so on, but it is cheap. And of course, one of the other things that I love about this country is, you know, I don't know what's number one, but is the people here. The people here are very, very friendly. Mia's not very friendly right now because she won't say anything, but
My stomach is hurting.
your stomach is
actually,
hurting? Okay, sorry about that. We just like to joke. The people are very friendly. I think anybody who's lived in the Philippines can attest to their friendliness. If you're walking in a trail and there's some Filipino sees you, he might even invite you to dinner, even though he lives in a bamboo shack and has almost no money. And it's not because he's going to try to extract something from you. It's just their friendliness. That's just the way they are. Very helpful, very nice people. Now, yes,
they're very helpful to the point that even if they don't know where the direction is, they would.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that was a helpfulness. I think that has something to do with not losing face, right? That's another thing. Never ask about directions here. They always pretend they know and they'll point in any direction. So never ask for direction here. Use Google Maps. Yeah, the friendliness of people. And they like to joke here. This is something I've noticed. This is one of the good feelings you have in the Philippines. They're always joking about everything. And oh yeah, if you're a foreigner, you're automatically guapo for some weird reason. Right, darling?
I don't know.
Guapo means good looking. I think they just throw it out there just to throw it out there. So those are some of the things that I really love about the Philippines, and I think it's really worth coming here, considering here as a retirement end destination. What else would you say, darling? This is your country. What else would you say is wonderful about the Philippines?
Don't put it out there.
Now, one thing I've talked about as a negative is the food and the variety of food, which is true. There's not that much variety. However, some of the fruits you get here are delicious because they're picked ripe. As for example, a mango. That's true. Like mangoes are the best tasting ever.
The way you just say it, it reminds me of something. Go on.
I don't know what's wrong with my wife today. So, like I was saying before, my wife rudely abrupted me, or interrupted me, not abrupted me. As I was saying, mangoes, like over here, you pick them fresh, or jackfruit, or bananas. Like those type of fruits that are grown here are wonderful because they're picked fresh and sold that day. So yeah, those are wonderful. Also, for example, eggs here. I know that sounds weird, but eggs here are some of the best eggs I've ever tasted. They all have that orange inside instead of the yellow, and they taste really,
Yolk.
really good.
Yolk.
The yolk, yeah, it's orange and not yellow. So there are things that taste really good here. Some of the chicken here tastes wonderful also.
What about the hot dogs?
The hot dogs? I don't know. You're the one who likes hot dogs. I like mango. How do the hot dogs taste here, darling?
That is so sweet.
So yeah, there are good things in the Philippines, and I hope my last video hasn't scared off too many people, because like I said, there are wonderful things here in the Philippines and worth checking out. Now, it doesn't mean the negative things I have mentioned in my old videos are not true. They are, of course, true, but like I said, there are positives and negatives in every country. You just have to choose what you can live with and what you can't live without, right?
Yep.
So another thing I tell people, come to the Philippines, have it as a home base, and then travel to Thailand, live there for 3 months and So many beautiful cities in there as well. Go to Malaysia, try that out for a few months. Before making a final decision where you want to live, just as with women, don't put all your eggs in one basket before you've tried everything out. Well, not everything, but tried a lot out. Okay? So with that, I will say thank you for watching and hope to see you on the next one.